Well, welcome everybody to our weekend, which is hopefully going to be fun, hopefully going to be interactive, and hopefully we're going to work out, and I've already said this to somebody else, that we're going to give you what happened, how we got to the end of the trail, or how we got on the trail, and all of us did it differently. So you need to pick out things that work, you think are going to work for you, and things that aren't going to work for you, and don't do those things, and do the things you think will work for you. But I think the most important thing is we need to start off with introducing each other. I know we said our names with Neville, but tell us what your hiking ambitions, your thoughts are about hiking. So let's start with you, Andrew.
My name is Andrew. I guess contemplating a through hike of the AT sometime in the future within the next probably 2 years. So that's what I'm here for.
Cool.
I'm Gail, and I plan to hike the AT and start in April.
Next year?
Next year.
No. You look excited already.
I am.
As you should be. As you should be, yeah. Okay, Debbie?
I'm Debbie. It's been sticking in my head for many years, probably a couple decades of trying to hike it, but I could never figure out the logistics. But now, with more information out there, I think I can, it doesn't seem insurmountable like it once did.
Yeah.
It's definitely a doable thing. So I'm gathering information and maybe a through hike in a couple of years here.
Very cool. Betty?
I'm Betty. I'm from Vermont. I pass the trail crossings loads of times every week. Something I've had on the radar screen. I'm thinking about retiring, and I think that this would be a way to figure that out. And I'm planning to do it solo and have my support back home. I asked them to be here so we could learn what I'm hoping to do.
Very cool. Very cool. Welcome, Bruce.
I have no interest in hiking.
That's hilarious. Chuck.
I'm Chuck. My trail name is Polar Bear, and I actually start my through hike in 2 weeks. I'm doing what's called
Polar Bear, right?
Exactly. I'm doing what's called a head start. I'm doing about 6 weeks up to the middle of December, trying to get to Damascus from Springer, and then come off trail until the end of February, and then continue all the way to Kitog. I've thought about the trail since I was 15, Boy Scouts, and I had a leader give me an old recreational equipment incorporated magazine, and it had pictures, and it just sparked our desire, and a group of my friends and I wanted to do it, and life got in the way, and now I'm semi-retired and make it happen. So all my family said go, and my wife says go, get out of here. So do it, get out of your system.
That's not the same experience of everybody,
Yeah.
And that's the thing we're going to talk about as well in a minute.
I'm Mary, and I've been planning this hike. I moved to Richmond in 2003, fell in love with the Shenandoahs. Ever since then, I thought about doing a through hike. The past 2 years, started collecting my equipment, doing shakedown hikes, and Wiley and I plan to head out in February.
Does Wiley know this?
I think he does. He's getting an idea.
He's working it out, aren't you, Wiley? we're past Wiley, so I don't think it's terribly sure.
Hi, I'm Sean. I'm from up near Rochester, New York. I've wanted to do a through hike of the AT for probably a couple decades, but just more recently in 2020, this desire drastically increased after watching a YouTube video. And then I turned around, and ever since then I've been aggressively going after it as my life allows me to. So I'm planning to start section hiking next year.
Perfect.
Start in southern part of Pennsylvania, working my way north.
What was the specific video?
It was Evan's hiking videos. He did a through hike. I think his 2018 or 2019 year, and it was he did a like little over an hour highlights reel of.
Yeah, it's good. Really good, wasn't it? Yeah.
I'm Kim, and I'm from Ferguson, North Carolina. I'm here just to visit with my friend Debbie while she's here, because we don't get to see each other very often. But and to get inspiration. I mean, we hike recreationally always. We're in the Blue Ridge Mountains and have a lot of opportunities to do so. So my husband and I are at least out there twice a week hiking. So I'm here to just absorb information and enjoy the weekend.
Okay. I'm John from Atlanta. So my goal is to basically learn all the do's and don'ts for hiking the AT and the gear, so that if I ever do get the chance to take however long it takes to hike, I kind of learn that ahead of time instead of making mistakes firsthand.
Well, one guarantee is you're going to be making mistakes all the way up the trail, so you need to enjoy it and you need to own those as well. That's kind of important. Paul, you're going to introduce yourself? We better introduce ourselves as well.
All right, so yeah, my real name is Paul Collins. I go by Skunk Ape. I thru hiked the AT in 2012, started March 1st, Summit Katahdin on August 27th. Where I'm a little different from like Mighty Blue and Jester and some of the others is I use a hammock, and I used my hammock the whole, my whole hike. So that's one reason why I'm here to, talk about hammocks and, anybody that's interested in the hammocks and might want to use it instead.
He's got 5 for you to try out.
Well, I got more than 5, but I think I'm going to have about 5 set up. I'm going to try anyhow.
Sorry, yes, I meant set up. Yeah. Okay, I'm Mighty Blue. I hike the trail. My 60s have been absolutely dominated by hiking. I'd never hiked in my life before I did it when I was 62 in 2014, and I did it again in 2019. Having said I'd never do it again, started a podcast, wrote a few books, and it's become probably the best decade of my life because of hiking the Appalachian Trail, which is remarkable to me because I've had quite a varied life in different guises, but the opportunity to share some of what I've learned from the trail is going to be something that I welcome that opportunity, as the others do as well, because we're going to make this as interactive as possible. We're each going to have our own 10 penneth about what the different parts of hiking the Appalachian Trail is. How about you, Clay? Because I know you're working at that at the moment. Apart from being a fire starter, what are you doing?
My name is Pony. I'm a pyromaniac from Colorado, which is really where I'm from, but I do live now at sea level a lot of the year down at Hilton Head Island, which is rough because there are no mountains for about 200 miles. I grew up in the mountains in the West and Boy Scouts and the whole thing, so I started long distance hiking in later life as well. So I did the Colorado Trail in 2015. And I just almost immediately understood that it was something that I liked, and I went out, because we relocated here for part of the year, I went out and did the AT the next year, and I've kind of never stopped. So it's like with Mighty Blue, but in a different way. It's become just a very big feature of my life, and I hope to continue, as long as I can. And this fire's bugging me. I can't really figure it out. These are kind of, I don't know, little greasy sticks, but we're going to get it. Don't worry. So.
Jester.
My name is Julie Gayheart, also known as Jester. And you guys have the possibility of meeting a trail angel, and her name is Miss Janet. And Miss Janet, not this weekend, but out on the trail, she's out there every year. And on her van, she has a sticker, and it says, "The AT ruined my life." And I also have that sticker in my office. It says, "The AT ruined my life." Ever since I was a kid, I'm a daddy's girl. My dad loved the outdoors. His true calling, he loves fishing, but he loves everything about trails, and had a real deep love for the Appalachian Trail. And ever since I was in high school, I just knew some way. I'd never been on the trail, didn't know anything about it. I just knew I was going to hike the trail. And finally convinced a couple girlfriends of mine back in 2006 to go on a 3-day adventure. We went from Davenport Gap to Hot Springs, and I never defined myself. I didn't know what a section hiker was. I didn't really truly understand what a thru hiker was. I just wanted to be on the trail. I just knew I had a calling to be on the Appalachian Trail, and I never knew what that looked like. But I started in 2006, and over the years I even changed my career, so I would have summers off and anything that would accommodate me to complete the Appalachian Trail. And I finished my first round in 2017, and my section hike is not traditional. I actually finished in Rangeley, Maine, which ended up being a great place to finish, in the parking lot in Rangeley, Maine. And through the course of those 12 years, I got so excited about the trail, I took my brother-in-laws out, I took family members out, and I made another mistake, which, going back to the sticker that says the AT ruined my life, I started going through and looking and adding up all the mileage that I had done a second time. So now I am to the point where I have a little bit in New York to do, a day or two in Connecticut, and if I finish New Hampshire and Maine, I'll have a second section hike on the Appalachian Trail. I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm not committed. I'm not committed to it, but and I just love it, and I'll probably cry sometime over the weekend, so get used to that. And honestly, every time I step foot on the trail, I just feel like I'm coming home, and I hope you all walk away with that sense as well, and your drive and ambition will lead you to meeting your goals.
Thank you. So, this first bit, when I decided I was going to sell my business in 2013 rather, and I was going to hike the Appalachian Trail, my wife at the time said, "This is the time. You know, you're never going to get another chance to do it." And of course, I did do it later. But the first thing we did, we sold our business and we went down to the local equivalent of the REI, and we didn't have an REI where we lived, and I bought a pair of boots. I had no idea what sort of boots I was going to wear, but I just felt this need to commit myself to do this. And I went into this shop, and the guy said to me, "What are you looking to do?" I said, "Well, I want to hike the Appalachian Trail." So he said, "What do you know about it?" I said, "Absolutely nothing, other than the book. I read the book by Bill Bryson, and that's the one that brought me here." So he said to me, "Are you aware that, you know, you're a big guy, you need to lose a bit of weight," he said, "but that part of it doesn't really matter. The things that really matter, the muscle that really matters, is this muscle here in your mind. You've got," he said, I'm not exaggerating, he said, "when this hike is 90% getting it right in your head. And the way in which you get right in your head is to get all the extraneous things in your life out of the way. And one of the first things, and I'm so glad you're here, by the way, Bruce, is you need somebody supporting you. The last thing you need is somebody at home constantly nagging you to come home again, or wanting you to hurry up or get your hike finished sooner. And so getting that support from home, I think, is one of the critical things, certainly in me finishing my hike, was getting a woman who was right behind me. She sent me packages of food. In fact, so much did she send me that I had to open up a second food bag and hang 2 food bags every night. And I was giving away food in the shelters. I mean, because it was just ridiculous. But getting your head right means a number of different things. If you're going to be out 6 months in the Appalachian mountains, you're going to get rain more than one day. And there may well be 4, 5 or 6 days. And the times that happens, and it does happen quite regularly, you're just going to be sitting in a shelter or in your tent in the morning. You think, I've got to get out of here now, and I've got to pack up, and I've got to move forward. Now, a lot of people give up because they don't like that rain. But I think you've always got to keep in your mind the reason you were there. So before any of you set out on this trip, and Chuck, you've only got 2 weeks, so I think you need to get clear in your mind why you're doing it. So let's start with that. What is the thing in your mind that makes you want to do this?
Well, there's actually 3 reasons. I have a whole video on it. So my why. And the word that comes to mind when I think of my why is honor. And first off, I'm honoring my family. Okay. And the support that they've shown me through the years of go dad, go do it, you know, make it happen, those kind of things. And having that support system, my wife back at the house.
Sure.
We've made a lot of changes in the last 2 years so that I could go on this trek. And so that's the first piece. And the second piece is the leaders that I had when I was a Boy Scout. We were a little bit unique. We lived in Iran. We were there because of the military. My dad was part of the military, and it was during the Cold War, so he was listening to Russia, listening posts and all that kind of stuff. But all my scout leaders were military, and they were all veterans from the Vietnam War. And we actually had one veteran that was from World War II that was a British commando that helped train the Rangers. And anyways, I go into a lot more detail in my video, but they all inspired us more than just ranks and merit badges. They really inspired us to be good men, to set goals and make commitments and finish what you start. And so I want to honor those men who are no longer around, including my father, to be able to see me do this. And then thirdly, I've had 6 people in my life over the last 3 years that have passed away. And most of them were just getting ready to retire or had just entered retirement. And they had big aspirations. One gentleman had $1 million in the bank, bought his brand new fishing boat, new cabin, and 2 months before he was due to retire, he passed away. And so I keep looking at the time is ticking, and I need to turn my one day in my day one. And so that's what I'm going to do.
It's funny actually, looking around everybody here, you know, there are no youngsters here because they've got all their life to do it. Yeah. There are still no youngsters here, despite what I said. And that mindset of, and I didn't want to raise it myself, but I'm glad you did. This thought that we've all had friends in our life who were going to have this fabulous retirement. And I had a father who died at 72. I had a brother who died at 56, a mother who died at 59. They never had that kind of that older age. So when I got, you know, older myself and got into my 60s, I knew that I had to do something as well. There was and it didn't really matter almost what it was, but it had to be something. And yet this idea of starting 2,200 miles path and getting to the end became very important to me. And that mindset of getting to the end, I know, is one of the things that people fear the most, of actually not completing it. If you're attempting to do a thru hike, you make all this preparation, okay, and you want to honor these people, which I understand as well. It will hang with you if you suddenly start struggling with it, because not everybody likes it out there. They think they're going to like it, and they get on there, and several days in, they think, oh my God, what am I doing? I did that every single day. The first month, I thought, what are you doing, you silly old fool? You know, and yet you just keep going, because the mind, your why was the important thing. My why was really, I read this fantastical book. I thought it was a fantastical book, and I thought it's not possible to walk 2,200 miles. I really literally thought there was no chance I was going to do it. But that was what was driving me on the whole time. Every time I had a bad day, of which there were many. But I'll tell you, one day, it wasn't a long day. It was about the 5th day on trail. It had been pouring all day long, and I was drenched. I was fed up. I think I was a bit tearful as well, because I'd had a bad conversation with my wife, and it just wasn't a good day for me. So I'm walking down to camp. I'm just not going to talk to anybody. I'm not going to have any food. I've decided I'm already going to sleep with my food in my tent, because you're not meant to. And I bloody well fell down and slipped on my backside in the mud all the way down a hill. And I thought, this is just it. I'm lying there in this mud, and what can you do? I just started laughing, because there's nothing else I could do. And it was just the full stop on a day. And they all say, don't quit on a bad day. And I was just ready to quit, and I've only 4 or 5 days in by then, so I've done 30 odd miles. I've done virtually nothing really. Yet that you get into your tent, you start laughing at yourself, you get dry, you get warm, and you settle down, and your head's right again. And the next morning you think, oh, what a silly old fool I was yesterday. You put your feet in your shoes, and you tie them up, and you get started again. and it's a great day. And it's always a great day if you allow that bad day to get out of your head. One of the things about going on a trail, and I felt it this morning, I know Julie did, she told me.
I did as well.
Yeah, you did as well, didn't you? Getting on the Appalachian Trail, and I knew we were going to do it. I didn't realise how emotional it was going to make me straight away. I thought, oh, I know this. I know what this is like. I kind of know how to do this. And it just gives you a feeling like, and Neville mentioned about it being home earlier on, this place being home. It felt like I was back home again, where I felt comfortable, and I knew it was something I was good at. But I was only good at it because I'd done it for so many hours. You know, you're meant to be an expert if you do 10,000 hours at something. I've done thousands of hours of walking on a trail. It doesn't make me an expert necessarily, but in my head, I know it's something I can do. And there will be those days when you're sitting down, you've got an injury. What you need to look forward to is your next injury, because the one that's hurting you now will not be hurting tomorrow. It'll be another one. And you think, well, what's I worried about that ankle for? My leg is killing me. You know, so you get that feeling of constantly evolving up the trail. You get that feeling that you know your support's there. You meet other people, they get emotional as well. And one thing I would say, as an older person as I was somewhat nervous about interacting with some of the younger people on the trail. But I can tell you, immediately, the barriers come down. Nobody gives a crap who you voted for. Nobody cares what you did for a living. Nobody cares how much money you got or you haven't got. And I would urge all of you who may feel a bit that you don't necessarily want to interact with everybody else out on the trail, just be open to it always, because you'll be surprised how intimate people become and want to talk to you once you're sitting in a shelter for 20 minutes together, and you'll have conversations which will stay with you for the rest of your life. And I certainly have those. I mean, you've had that experience, haven't you?
Yeah, everybody on the trail pretty much becomes equals. I mean, you know, a lot of the ones that I hiked with engineers, I hiked with lawyers, I hiked with, you know, doctors, you know, but that, like Mighty Blue was just saying, that don't matter, and nobody pays attention to that, because you're on the trail, you're all hikers. You're all, you know, going for that same goal at the end, and that's all that matters out there.
And people start wanting your success as much as they want their own success. And you're each other's cheerleaders, and at the end of every day, you see somebody looking upset sitting in the corner of a shelter, that's the person you need to be talking to, because you'll want them to get there, because you know they're struggling. Now, I'm looking at you now, and I'm thinking to myself, you're ready to go out there, and you're going to miss a lot of these people out there, but you will see some of the southbounders coming through. Are you prepared to interact with people out there?
Yeah, absolutely. And the young ones I shouldn't say scare me, but I've worked in higher education in colleges my entire career. So I'm used to being around the 18 to 22-year-old demographic. And so they don't bother me at all. And I'm very much an introvert. And so when I get on the trail, it's a chance for me to clear my head and really think about what's next in my life. And I feel like that this first 6-week section is going to help me do that. And then when I get back out there at Damascus at the end of February, I know there's going to be a lot more folks heading north. And I feel like I'm going to get that real introduction to trail families and those kind of things heading north. So I feel like this is just my cleansing over the next few weeks.
I know you think that. I know that when I remember standing on spring, I'm thinking to myself, this is great. Here we go. I've got 2,200 miles to sort out all my issues and problems and relationships and things like that. As I came into Maine, I was thinking, I better start thinking about those things. It doesn't happen to you necessarily. I mean, you may be deliberate about it. You may be intentional. You say, I'm going to sit down here and I'm going to sort this out and sort that out. I mean, I'm not a religious person, as I often say on the show. I talk to God every single day for the first 800 miles. And then my own thoughts would drive me crazy. And so I stopped doing it because I didn't feel I was getting the response perhaps I felt I needed. But those couple of minutes every single day were a pretty important part of my day. And I kind of missed it when I stopped doing it, funnily enough, as well. But my mind by then was okay. I thought, I know how to do this. I know how this works. What's it like for a section hiker, getting your head right?
I think section hiking is tough, it's complicated, and depending on how long you want to do it, do I want to section hike the trail over the course of 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? I've met people out there, this is my 30th year.
Yes.
And it really does, I don't know if I'm unique, I don't know if all section hikers do this. Your world revolves around your section hike. And I'm very lucky to have a partner in my life that saw that and said, this is, okay, I'm in. You know, whatever this looks like, you know, let's do it. And how am I going to be a part of this? Because truth be told, after I got, Clay calls it, or Pony calls it the virus. So after I got the virus, I started eliminating things in my life that didn't help me reach my goal. And one of the first things I mentioned earlier, I completely changed careers because I knew going into, I didn't really understand education. I do now, of course. One of the hardest jobs I've ever had, but I knew it would give me time to get out on the trail. I changed the way that I interact with my family. My dad did 2 weeks with me in Maine. It was, my dad canoed me across the Kennebec.
Oh,
And it was absolutely phenomenal and amazing. And one of the things that I saw happen, I thought people were going to reject me. Oh God, that's all she does is talk about the trail. That's all she does. That's all she ever wants to do, which is true.
yeah, that's true.
But what it did, it is true, but what it did, I saw my family changing. My mom, all of a sudden, she wanted to go. She's like, well, I could ride the train to Mount Washington. And I saw my family want to become part of me being at certain places on the trail. And then when I was in certain areas, I would have different family members meet me and various things. And I had no idea that was going to happen. So that was a huge benefit of my section hiking. But the mentality for me was, there is nothing that's going to stop me from reaching this goal. And I often say, people don't stay married 12 years. I mean, if you think of the course of 12 years, you know, 10 for you, right? And I put my hike in thirds. The first third, the middle third, and the last third. The first third was, oh my God, I love the trail. I could eat the dirt. I love everyone. You know, I don't care where I'm at on the trail. None of that mattered to me. Just wanted to be out hiking. And then the middle third, my section hike changed when I met Jennifer Farr Davis on the trail in 2008. Because one of the number one things that I heard early on was, oh, I don't see women out here. There's no women on the trail. Well, it didn't occur to me there were no women on the trail. That seemed foreign. And Jennifer Farr Davis was on her first fastest known time, I guess if that's what you want to call it, the women's fastest known time. And
She held the overall for a little.
for a long, so this was 2008. And I ended up meeting her father, Brew. And she was like, you go for it, girl. You could do this, women on the trail. And I was just empowered. So I put my head down. All of a sudden I had a schedule. I knew exactly where I'd been. I knew exactly what I needed to do. And then the last third of my hike really became, my last 3 years became, I got to get this done. This is overpowering everything. But I was never going to let it go. So my mental power kind of took over everything I did so I could complete that goal. And people came with me. Your loved ones will come with you, whether you thru hike or section hike. I've met serial day hikers on the trail. Because if someone truly loves you and they're your family, they're going to want you to be your best. And I'm the best when I'm on the trail. And all of us are. That's why we're sitting here. And when you're your best, you exude this aura, this energy comes out of you that people at work don't see. So I would go on these section hikes in the summer, and all my fellow teachers would come back, and I had to hear about how many times they went to Walmart, and their kids were driving them crazy, and they're shipping them all over to the aunts and uncles, and you have this amazing experience, and people don't want to hear about it because they don't understand. But if you involve your family, they do. They do because they see that in you.
And remember that, by the way. If you do this, and you've heard it on my show before, tell everybody your stories for about 3 weeks. After that, they will not give a crap. Because they have no idea what you're talking about. They won't get it.
3 weeks from
Oh, they'll still, yeah.
They still hear it.
You're still going to want to talk about it, but no. So the mindset's important. And the other mindset I would talk about, which I know quite a few of you experienced hikers already. I know you are. I know you've done quite a bit. When I first went, my biggest fear was animals, and I didn't know. I remember walking down that scrubby little path from Springer across the parking lot, and literally every single burned out tree was a bear, and every single root was a snake. And I'm looking like this, and I can see everything. I'm walking out. Second time I went, I was totally relaxed because I knew it wasn't a bear. I knew it wasn't a snake. And if it was, I was lucky enough to see it, because seeing animals, and that was a big surprise for me. Seeing animals is such a privilege, because you walk through the zoo in New York, and you see the black bear cage, and there are these slovenly, brown-coloured, dirty bears moving at no speed at all. 3 days before, I'd been going through New Jersey, and I saw this rustling of the ferns, and this silky black bear charging along, parallel to me, kind of going away at an angle and so on. And what a privilege that is to see these bears out there. So if any of you are concerned about animals, really don't be, because they are the greatest thing to see. They want nothing to do with you. I still don't care however big and brave you think you are. If you see a snake, you're going to jump because you can't help it. But they're going to go away as well, so that's not too much of a problem.
I think animals let you see them.
Yes, I think you're right. Yeah, and I'm sure.
I guarantee you more animals see you than you see them.
Well, because mainly you're looking at your feet when you're walking along. Yeah, get used to that. Get used to the side of your feet as well, by the way, because you will be doing that. Are you deliberately sending this my way?
I think he is.
Yeah, you will be deliberately looking at your feet the whole time. So talk about your mindset then, Clay. So I know what you're like. You tend to get up and go, and away you go.
Well, first of all, I've mentioned this to a couple of people already, but I mean this. It's not the most professionally written book. It's perfectly fine, but if you would like to be thinking and have some strategies about how to kind of prepare yourself mentally and spiritually, psychologically, however you want to call it, I do recommend Zach Davis's books, Appalachian Trials. He also has one that's the same book roughly, but it's called Pacific Crest Trials. And Zach just sort of stumbled on after his hike. I don't know that he knew it, but he's really the one person who's really, really delved into that side of things. And we're going to talk about physical challenges, I know, but we'll all have physical challenges. Most of them don't last very long on the trail, but it's a cumulative thing. And talking specifically about the AT, every single day builds on itself. So I'll just give you the example that I was running with these 3 hotshot 20-year-old guys across most of Virginia, having the time of my life, a trail family. We had so much fun. Well, I was more than twice as old as any of them, and I felt proud of myself. I felt really good about it, you know. But what caught up with me was not physical, and it was in Vermont. It was really mental. So way back in Virginia, I was running with the young lads, but by Vermont, I was just tired. And the rain got me up on Mount Greylock and so forth. And I realized that what I did was I took a week off and then I flip-flopped, so I finished southbound, which was a great thing to do. But what I realized was you can't really know when you're in Virginia or Maryland or even New York what you're going to feel like physically too, but mentally especially. So I don't follow this advice a lot of the times. A couple of people heard me say today, and I do mean it, in general, bell curve, law of averages, I think women are smarter at this pursuit than men are. And Steve sort of agrees anecdotally that we see, yeah, you know, about 25% of starters are women and about 50% of finishers. My personal feeling about that, maybe it's sexist, is that women are smarter about their bodies and they just know a little more about what's going on with them. I've seen more people go off because of mental stuff, just a mental exhaustion. Who knows if it's an excuse. So I would say, you know, it is a cliche, but don't quit on a bad day. Don't quit at the end of the day. I did quit in Vermont. I said, screw it. I got to Bennington, I was done. I was soaked, I was freezing. And I went down to Bennington and I called my wife and said, I'm done. She was like, yay, she was psyched. And the next morning I woke up, I'm like, no, sorry. I was lying about that, but I do need a break. It really makes a difference. And this is not an exaggeration. I've certainly gone to bed feeling bad mentally, physically, many times. There's not ever been one day that I woke up on the trail feeling bad. So maybe I'm fortunate in that way, but my gosh, have I seen the people that I thought were the badass, the guys that are gonna crank it, they're strong, they're tough, down in Virginia or, you know, Pennsylvania, they're the ones who got off in New York or got off in Massachusetts. And I literally have written a book about my AT hike that, if you're interested, I brought some with you, but I start that book with a story about a young woman who was a disaster that me and my young crew, we ran into about midway through Virginia, and we're like, there is no way she'll finish. She was like a little baby bird that had fallen out of the nest. Yeah. And you know what? Here I am flip-flopping and coming back through Maine, and I saw this steely-eyed, bronze little goddess of a person coming at me. I was like, wow, Tupac, is it you? And she said, yeah. She sounded like Clint Eastwood, you know. And she really did. She barely had any time to talk to me because she was on a beeline for Katahdin. And I did see it that time. And there was another kid. He had a 65-pound pack, and we were like, that guy's not going to make it. We stayed at the church hostel in Pearisburg with him. He made it. So you never know, and it's, I think, the slow and steady people that listen to their bodies and listen to themselves when they need a break. My friend Alan Carpenter, you know him. Yes, he started hiking late age. He's amazing. He's almost got his Triple Crown. He's 74 years old. But Alan just refuses to do anything less than a 20-mile day. It catches up with him. It always catches up with him, physically and mentally. So pace yourself, and I'm giving advice that I often don't follow, but I have gotten a little bit better. And those books by Zach are great. I mean, I really do think, and he's got some good ideas like journaling and figuring out why you're out there and all that. So, yeah, that's my general take on it.
Well, I think one of the other things that I've given a little note to myself about was, and once again, this is something I don't do as much as I should do. Just because you want to get to a certain place at the end of a certain number of miles, don't do that. You know, if you suddenly see a good view, sit down and take your pack off, even if it's only for 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, because you may never get the chance to see that. I went over Max Patch twice. Once when it was glorious, and we sat there all afternoon for about 3 hours, just sitting there and just looking at how lovely it was. And the next time, it was completely socked in with fog. So when you ever get the chance to see a good view, take it, because you may never get that one again. And so don't be in a rush to do everything. Get in your mind that you want to do well, you want to get to another shelter. But if it means you can sit down for half an hour and enjoy a view, sit down and do that, because you'll feel so much better from having done it. Now, one thing I want to talk about. Your turn. Yeah, one thing I particularly want to talk about, and one of Andrew's notes to me when I asked people their concerns, one of them was, what's it like to leave your life behind? And that was kind of troubling you a little bit, that you might be leaving, you'd be leaving your life behind. And that's why I said to you already, I think you have to get your family to understand why you're doing it, give them that why, and allow them to be ready for you to go. Because this isn't easy for anybody you leave behind. I know, Bruce, I'm sure you're very confident you're going to be fine. But,
as long as the money doesn't run out.
well, there is that. Oh, by the way, this isn't necessarily a mindset thing. That great expression. If you want to know how much to take with you, put all the money you're going to take with you on a bed, and put all the gear you're going to take with you on a bed. Take twice the money and half the gear, because you hemorrhage money in town. Absolutely hemorrhage money. So the mindset of leaving your life behind, people tend to adjust their lives to cope with you not being there. Is it something that's problematic for you, or is it problematic for your wife?
No, I think it's more for me, not her.
You're too good a man.
I just personally, you used to. I guess that's your role. You have responsibilities, and when I meant that is, how do you step out of all your stuff you do every day, all day, responsibility and everything, to be freeing to go have this experience? It feels at times incredibly selfish.
It is. And by the way, get over that, because it is a selfish thing to do. You're doing something specifically for you. You're not doing it. Your wife will not benefit from you doing this, and your family won't, nor will yours. But you're doing this because you want to do it. And if your partner loves you enough, they will want you to do it as well. And that's why we met somebody I think I mentioned this last night. We met somebody in 2019. She was a lovely woman, and this was her lifelong ambition to hike the trail. Her family was right behind her, 3 kids and a husband. Day 2, she got a phone call. How do you turn the washing machine on? Day 3, I think the fridge is a bit too cold. They couldn't do anything without her, literally nothing without her at all. And so they after about 200 miles, they were begging her to come home. This is a dream she'd had all her life. To her eternal credit, I'm not going to name her name because we are filming right now, but to her eternal credit, she did say, look, I'll come home when I've done 500 miles. But that was her lifelong dream, and they didn't have that. So if you're worried about it being selfish, yes, it is. And it's a thing that's so worthwhile when you do it. You do it again, Clay. It becomes so worthwhile when you do it, but you have to accept this is part of your mindset. You've got to get right in your head that this is something you want to do so much that it's worth it to you, and in the long run, it'll be worth it to the people around you as well, I think. I hope it is anyway, because this has become an important part of all of our lives. This is, all of us have done this for any period of time, know that this is an important part of your life. And if it is selfish, that's the way it has to be. What about other thoughts from the rest of you on your mindset? How are you feeling about what you're going to do? I know we've already asked Chuck. What about you?
My wife, she, at the beginning, when we started talking about this a lot more in 2020, you could tell that she was like, I'm sick of hearing this thing that you want to do.
Wear them down. Good idea.
But as time went on, I continued pursuing it. She started seeing it as this is not just something that I want to do, but she started looking at it as something that I need to do. And so
you feel that as well?
Yeah, I feel that as well. And so this last year, a lot of our vacationing was just going to different spots on the trail so she could get some of that experience of some of these areas that I'm going to get to see. And she really took a hold of it. And when I told her about this weekend, she was like, I don't care if we have to cut one of our vacations short, we're going. So she's really encouraged me through it. And sometimes in life you take on responsibilities and stuff out of necessity. And that's how it was with me. When I was younger, I was 19, my wife and I got married because she was pregnant. And so that ended up being, I have to step up, be the man, and take care of my family. So that was what my focus has been for 35 years. And so it was like, my wife now also sees this as, hey, this is your time. I really see this as something you want, go for it. And I'm here to encourage you.
And that eases it on you. It makes it easier for you. Of course it does. I mean, each of us have come to this point in our lives where we want to do something, and this is that time. But you have to really get right in your head. What is it? Here's the entertainment here.
This will be all moment.
And Mary, I was wondering about your mindset, taking obviously Wiley.
Well, he's actually the third poodle I have trained to go on a hike.
Oh, right.
But circumstances, 2014 when I said to my daughter, I live with my daughter and my son-in-law, and said, I'm going to hike the Appalachian Trail next year. 2014, went to REI, bought boots, bought a backpack, bought my dog a backpack, and realized within several months that I wasn't ready. I wasn't in a place to just leave work for 6 months or whatever it was going to take, and just pushed that aside and decided to do it responsibly when I retired. So here I am.
Taking the third dog, the third of it.
He is the third one. The second one is still with us, but after he came to us.
Whose hike is it? Is it yours?
Oh, it's his.
Right.
Oh, it's totally his.
Yeah,
oh, totally.
I kind of think it should be as well, yeah.
Yeah.
If he doesn't like it.
He can go home.
Oh, he's going home. You're not.
Oh, no.
No. All right.
Then it really becomes mine.
So that.
Yeah, that mindset, it's, I'll get there when I get there.
I wanted to say one thing about the mental. Other hikers could try to talk you out of stuff. Don't let that happen. Because when you are sitting around shelters and you are, hanging out and having that community piece, you hear everybody else's woes too sometimes. Misery loves company. Don't let other hikers, don't let anybody curtail what you want to do. They're going to be your gearheads out there. Oh, you don't know what you're doing. You're not carrying this pack, or you don't have this stove, or what are you wearing those boots for? You're going to hear all kinds of things, but there are people out there that will try to get in your head purposely. That's another mental aspect. Don't let them do it, because a lot of times I've seen them. Specifically, I'll say this about women, that there will be hikers out there that will try to give you the woe is me and things like that. And it's interesting that hikers can almost talk themselves out of doing things that they want to do. And that's from my perspective that I've seen. And I've been in all kinds of bubbles. I've been in southbound bubbles, northbound bubbles, flip-floppers. I've been out there by myself. The tramily thing is new to me. When I was out there, nobody called it a tramily. It was your trail family. And as a section hiker, you don't really have a trail family. That's the other, if there's a negative about section hiking, you might get in a group of people that are, where you are, but you're going to get off the trail. And you're going to go home and pursue different avenues. But I just wanted to say that don't let other hikers convince you to hike faster than you want to, convince you to do more miles, because it's a lot of gear and, oh, well, I'm going 20 tomorrow. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, you're only going to do 12? Don't let that get in your mind. Yeah, it's not only going to do 12, I'm going to do 12. I'm going to do 8. You know what? I'm going to do 5 tomorrow, and I'm going to hike into Woods Hole Hostel and spend the rest of the day off. That types of things. So I just wanted to say that too.
Well, actually, funny enough, that leads to another really important point, because if you hike by yourself, which I know you're going to pretty much most of the time, if you hike by yourself, you are absolutely doing exactly what you want. But if you then hike with somebody else and you're walking behind somebody else, you're actually hiking their hike. And that is the biggest danger. I always fell over the most when I was walking behind somebody, because I wasn't concentrating on my own hike. I was concentrating on somebody else's hike. So while I love the idea of being with somebody, if you want to spend every night in the same shelter with somebody, have a chat, Clay and I hiked together for 3 days. I mentioned this to one person earlier on, so I'll tell the rest of you because I think it's a great example of what a great hiking buddy he is. He walks about 3 times faster than I do on those little legs. But he said to me, this is your hike, we're going to go at your pace. He stayed behind me the whole time. We were talking the whole time. And, well, he was talking most of the time. I was listening the rest of the time. But what was great about it was he understood that idea that had he been walking ahead, I probably would have been walking a bit faster to keep up with him. And I would guarantee you I would have fallen over a lot. So he didn't allow me to shake myself out of my mindset. I knew what I was doing by then. He was very happy to be along with me, and we just had a great time for 3 days together because he understood the concept.
I will say that was a great time and it was fun. I will say that the converse too, even though it sounds strange, don't let somebody talk you into hiking slower than you want to hike either. Now, everybody can make compromise, and people do that because they want to stay with different people, and that's fine. It depends on your personality. You know, I'm a person that generally is not that great at making a big compromise, and I tried to do it. I hiked with somebody that I just had a great time with. He was a first-time hiker all the way through the desert of the PCT. Great time. Well, he was from West Virginia. He didn't know much about snow. He didn't know much about mountains or upper altitude. And we hit the Sierra, and he was not prepared. He was trying to be ultralight, and he was miserable. I mean, he was unhappy every single step of the way in the snow. And, you know, 3 times he got lost, and that's, to me, a cardinal sin. You know, if you say you're going to be somewhere and meet me, you better be there, because I don't know that you're not dead. But I kept staying with him. I was trying to compromise. I said, okay, well, when you stop to do whatever you're going to do, I will go slow but it takes a long time to catch up with somebody, even if they're going 1/2 as fast as you are. And what happened ultimately was, it wasn't a good separation ultimately, because I had compromised what I know to be the way that I need to hike. And that makes me sound like, well, you're a jerk, you should, but you know what? Just know yourself as a hiker. And if you are faster, that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with that. And it sort of gets lost because I think the converse is we talk about a lot, but yeah. And I made a decision. My pace is a little more than Mighty Blue's, I guess. I don't know. But you know what? I wanted to hike with Mighty Blue, and so that's what I decided to do. So the flip side is real too, And some of you are going to be faster and some of you are going to be slower.
Well, that's how it was with me and a guy that I hiked with. Him and I hiked together probably 1,400 miles together. And, I hiked faster than him. And for the beginning of us hiking together, I pretty much stayed behind him. That way his pace, dictated, and we could talk and everything like that. But then, a little while into the hike, he realized that he was holding me up. So then we kind of changed it up, and I would hike ahead. And once I got so far, then I would stop and I would wait for him to catch up. And then we would, sit there and chat or have lunch or something like that. And then we would just figure out where we wanted to meet, each night and everything. So,
have you guys had thoughts about mindset? Are you pretty comfortable? I know you're pretty strong in your mind about where you're going to be and how it's going to work out for you. Have you given it much thought, really, in terms of how you have to be ready for this? You kind of have to steel up a bit.
Yeah, I'm kind of the introvert too, so hiking alone all day doesn't faze me. In fact, I'd almost prefer that. I don't know that I'll connect with anybody long enough to want to stay together for a certain period. If it happens, it happens, but this is for me.
Absolutely, yeah. And by the way, do you feel selfish?
Do I feel selfish? I do worry about not holding up my end of the deal for 5 months or 6 months when I'm not home. Who's gonna take care of the dogs? Who's gonna fold the laundry? Who's gonna take him to get his eyes.
Where is he?
He's over there.
There he is.
That's the guy.
I mean, the fact that he knows that if I decide to do something, I'm going to do it, and he's not fighting me to say don't.
Sure.
So I'm lucky.
It's a wonderful thing. It's a wonderful thing. And you sound like you've got the same thing as well. So,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I think I've supported home. It's more, I'd say it's my mental issue, not someone else's.
yeah.
It's that mental toughness to know that, to commit to doing it and being, that's like you even say it, and this has to be something you want more than anything else, and you have to be all in. And unless you're there, then you're not.
They're not my words. I read them in a book the day before I started my 2014 hike. It said, this has to be the thing you want to do more than anything else this summer. And I had a great summer. I would have had a great summer lined up doing other things. But I thought to myself, yeah, this is absolutely what I'm prepared to spend this whole summer doing. And it almost gave me that permission to go ahead and do it. I was just ready for it. And I suddenly realized that that was articulating what I felt at that time. And one last thing I'm going to say just before we finish is that I've forgotten it. I'll come back to that. Is there anything else on mindset you want to talk about? All good? We're all ready to go? Cool.